So I did a thing. Remember how I was talking about how I didn't know what I was going to reward myself with for my 100-pound loss that I got a couple weeks ago? Yeah, so let me preface this by saying I am not an impulsive person by nature at all. I don't do things off the cuff. I think I used to, but having been with my husband for as long as I have, he's very not spontaneous, and he has to think everything through and analyze it and overthink it. And so that has rubbed off on me over the years. So yeah, so I bought tickets to a concert in England with no thought put into getting there or even looking at flights to see how much they would cost or anything like that. But in my defense, this is my favorite band, and they've been my favorite band for 30 years. And I haven't seen them live in 10 years. And the likelihood that they're coming back to the States anytime soon is slim to none. And this is their 40-year anniversary of their first album. I did a thing. So what happened was, my favorite band is a band called Europe. You would probably know them from a little song called The Final Countdown. They were a hair band in the 80s and the late 90s. But they are so much more than that. I'm not even going to get into it, because when people hear a hair band from the 80s, they just think, oh, whatever. But they are amazing, and they're so talented, and I've been a fan of theirs since I was 14 years old. And I never got to see them live until 2005 when they got back together. They got back together in 2004. They broke up. I'm going to tell you the life story of the band. They broke up in 92 or 93. And then they got back together in 2004, and they made a new album, and it was amazing. It is by far my favorite album of theirs ever. I worship this album. I listen to it constantly. It's amazeballs, and I finally got to see them live when they came to Anaheim and San Diego in 2005. We were living in Phoenix at the time, and there was never a question. My husband knew this obsession with this band came with the marriage. And so I remember when I saw that they were finally touring the States, I screamed out into the kitchen. I said, "Babe, can we go to California in whatever, I think it was like April." And he didn't even know what I was looking at, had no idea what I was talking about. And he responded with, "Only if Europe's playing." And I was like, "We're going." And so we saw the Anaheim show and the San Diego show, and it was one of the best nights of my life. Or 2 nights, but the San Diego show was the best because I was front row center. Anyway, and then 10 years ago, they came back to the States. They played a little club called the Rock Bar in San Jose, and we went to see that. And it was okay, but we were offside. It was a VIP seat, but it wasn't like, I would have much rather been like right in the thick of it. But I thought I was too old for that at that point. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So on this past Monday, they announced that their tour was going to be happening, and they were only going to do a tour of Europe. So that's where they're hugely popular. They don't get that big of a draw in the States, so I get it. It's not cost effective for them to tour the States. they have to play clubs, and why do that when you can play Europe and you can do stadiums and fill them? So anyway, I was very disappointed and sad. But then I made a joke to my husband that, well, we're just going to have to go to Sweden, because Sweden's on my bucket list. I've always wanted to go to Sweden, and that's where the band is from. And I made a joke that we were just going to have to go to the Sweden show. And so we'd been like kind of joking back and forth. And then on Thursday, I think it was, he actually looked into the tour on their website, and he texted me and said, well, the show in Manchester would be the more likely one because, well, we have a friend who lives in Manchester, and also that his work headquarters is like in Manchester, England. So my husband's. And so the fact that he was looking at that kind of was like, he must be giving me permission. So my brain sort of took it and ran, and the tickets went on sale that night. Well, it would have been that morning in England, but it was 2:00 in the morning for us. So I didn't wake up and look at the tickets, but the next morning they still had third row VIP tickets, and I just kind of went, I'm gonna do it. So I did it. So I have these VIP tickets to my favorite band in October in England, and no trip on the horizon. And I didn't even tell my husband that I was doing it. I bought tickets to a show I don't even know if I'm going to go to. So I did tell him yesterday, and he was apprehensive, of course. He said, well, we'll have to see if we can afford it. We'll have to set a budget. We'll have to do all the things that you have to do for vacation, see if you can get the time off, all that good junk. But he didn't say no. So that is going to be my reward for my 100 pounds that I've lost. And I think that is a damn good reward, in my opinion. And I'm very excited, and I think we can make this happen. And if it doesn't happen, I will try not to be super disappointed, but it is what it is. It was a total impulse thing, and I'm okay with losing the money if it comes down to that. And I mean, I bought insurance for the tickets, but you have to like get a doctor's note or something. Anyway, I'm just, it's giving me excitement and something to look forward to. And I kind of, part of my New Year's resolution was to be more impulsive this year. So that was a big step towards that. So possibly in October of this year, I may be going to England. Let's just get to the weigh-in, shall we? Yesterday was Saturday, and that is my weigh-in day, so I weighed in. Go figure. Last weekend, I weighed in at 173.6. And this weekend, I weighed in at 172.8. So that is another loss of 0.8 pounds, which is, I think, what I lost last week. And I'm cool with it, because losing that 0.8 pounds has brought my BMI and my weight into the no longer obese category. I am no longer in that little obese window. I am now just simply overweight. Yay me. So as stupid as it sounds, I have slimmed down to overweight. So I'm pretty proud of that. So I've lost 100 pounds and I'm no longer obese, and might be going to see my favorite band in a few months. All right, I'm a little rambly, obviously, because I'm kind of all over the place. I was crazy on Friday when I bought the tickets, because I still hadn't told my husband. And I had bought them right, like I had worked out, and I said, I'm gonna go to the website, and if there are still good seats available, I'm gonna buy the tickets. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And they were third row, and I kind of just bought them, and then it hit me on the way to work what was happening. And I was just kind of crazy all day. And then my husband wasn't in a good mood Friday night, so I was like, I'm not telling him now. And then yesterday was when I told him, which was a day later. But yes, I'm mentally kind of crazed right now. And I told my friend Megan, I was like, I can blame this on the grief, right? I needed something to make me happy. So, yeah, I'm hopeful that I will be able to see my boys again live, and hopefully it'll just be amazing. And hopefully we'll be able to take a week-long trip, and it will be great. We've been to Manchester before. We were in 2001. It was right after 9/11, because we were actually set to fly out the day after 9/11, but obviously that didn't happen. We flew out 2 weeks later, and we had a good trip, but we didn't do a whole lot because I wasn't a seasoned traveler at that point, and I only brought one pair of shoes, and they broke on like the second or third day in. And so then I had to go buy a new pair of shoes, and people in England have tiny feet apparently, because at the time I was like a size 10. Now I'm a size 8 in shoes. Yeah, your feet shrink. It's weird. But I had to cram my feet into these size 9 shoes, and they were like kind of dress loafers, because they were the only ones that I could find that were that size. And then the next day we walked all over Denholm, and I literally had blisters on my heels like that big and just bleeding. And so my feet were toast for the rest of the trip. We never went into London. We never did all the things that we wanted to do because I couldn't do anything, because also, I mean, my feet were toast, but I was also at that point, I would say I was easily 350 pounds. So my feet weren't going anywhere. And I always felt bad because I felt like I had ruined the trip for my husband, even though he'd been there before. It always I kind of wanted a do-over. So perfect timing, right? This can be our do-over. I keep trying to justify it to myself. Can you tell? All right. So I'm going to stop before I get too incredibly giddy and rambly and whatever. So a pound, I'll round up to a pound again. A pound loss for this week. It's creeping along again. I've hit that creeping stage that's bound to happen once you get past a certain weight. It just comes off slower. And as long as it keeps going down, then I'm okay with it. I feel really comfortable where I am right now, so I don't mind it as much. Like before it was always like, I have to get down to this size by this day. I don't really have that goal, although with October coming up, I don't really have that mindset anymore. I've just kind of like along for the ride right now, because I'm really comfortable where I'm at. I obviously still want to continue to lose, but I feel real good where I am. So it being a slower weight loss really it's not bothering me as much this time. So that's a good thing. So if you have enjoyed any part of this way out there video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.